Hello everyone, this is Rich McDaniel from Connecticut, and I'd like to give you a description of a channel strip and an analog mixer. Though analog mixers come in different channel sizes of different companies, they all have the same basic principles, the channel strip. And once you learn one common channel, they're all the same no matter how many channels. So let's take a look into detail of the signal flow through a channel strip. As we learned in our class, signal flows from the top to the bottom, and every channel has the same basic components. It starts with the input, which starts at the top, which is your microphone or instrument, auxiliary sends, your EQ section, your pan button, your solo and mute buttons, and your main channel volume fader. This flow chart shows the basic flow of sound from the top to the bottom through a channel strip. At the top of the channel strip is the input section, where you have inputs for an XLR or a line input. This is also called the microphone preamp. It also has a trim control that determines the input level, and the line level can be balanced or unbalanced, meaning that you can use either a TRS cable or a TS cable. Next we have our aux or auxiliary section. This section is used to send a separate output from that particular track or channel. It routes the track to more than one place. It could be used for effects or headphones, and it could be sent to things like a compressor or an EQ unit. The next section is our EQ or equalizer section. It sets frequencies for your highs, your mids, and your lows for that particular track. Following that, we have our pan knob. This basically changes the sound level from left to right from a single input. Most of your inputs are in mono, so this sends this out on two channels, either to the left or right. That's followed by a mute button, which silences the sound for that track and turns it on or off. And then we have a solo button, which solos that track from the other remaining tracks. And this is followed lastly by probably the most important knob on that particular track, and that is called the volume fader. The volume fader controls the sound for that particular track or channel. It also has a unity gain section somewhere along the line, which, if possible, try to make sure your level is at unity gain. The other section of the analog mixing board is the master bus, which contains the master fader. This combines the sound volume of all the track faders. It has a set of LEDs that let you know what your level settings are, and you can see the entire level of the mix on this section. As we mentioned earlier, signal flows from top to bottom in an analog mixer, but that may not always be the case when it comes to a DAW. There are some differences between a DAW and an analog mixing board. The channel strips that signal flow, there's drop-down menus in a DAW mixing board for inputs and outputs. And you can also put inputs and outputs on the pre or post fader area.